Hi everybody, Rockin' Librarian here, aka Mrs. Tomorrow, and today we're going to be reading a book that is a biography. So the genre biography are books written about people by somebody else. So today's book is very exciting because it's something that I love to use as a child and even still today, and that is crayons, Crayola crayons, and I have some Crayon markers too. So I'm going to share my screen, and here is the book. There we go. Here's the book we're going to be reading today. It's a biography, and the first thing I'm going to review with you, and you should remember this from previous, is the call number on the spine. So here's the title of the book, The Crayon Man, The True Story of the Invention of the Crayola Crayons. How is the call label done for biographies? I've been teaching you this since 3rd grade. So the title is The Crayon Man, The True Story of the Invention of Crayola Crayons. And the call label's down here on the edge. The author is Natisha Bibo, illustrated by Stephen Saylor No. So what goes on the spine for biographies? I'm going to pause the video. I want you to try to figure it out, write it down on a piece of paper, and you'll see if you get it correct. This is a review. Good. So I'm glad you took the time to pause the video. Well, you know, biographies are put into the library under the number 92. Some libraries do put a B for biographies. The Hanover libraries use 92 in the nonfiction section, and they take the last 3 letters of the person they're talking about and put it on the spine. So not the author, like fiction books or even nonfiction books, but in the biography section, they put the last 3 letters of the person they're talking about. So the person they are talking about in this book, the person who invented the Crayola crayon, is Edward Binney. So I just told you that the call number will take the person they are talking about for biographies. They will put the number 92 above in our libraries. Sometimes public libraries use a B, but in our libraries, they use 92. And the first 3 letters of the person's last name they're talking about. So what was the answer, everybody? Let's see if you're correct. 92, B-I-N. Is that the last 3 letters of the person's name they're talking about? Yes. So I want to tell you about this neat thing I learned when I was at the Crayola factory in eastern Pennsylvania, and it's something about the markers here. Now, believe it or not, they have holes in the lid, in the cap. And can anybody guess why there might be holes in the lid? I mean, we don't want to ever leave our marker open because we know when they get dried out, right? So why would there be holes? See the holes there by moving around? Why there would be holes in the cap? Well, the reason why is this is a choking hazard. And so they wanted to come up with a way to prevent children from choking that swallow this and it gets stuck in their trachea. Now, earlier in the video, I said esophagus by accident. It's actually the trachea, the harder part when you feel your throat that you breathe in and out. So if this goes down in your trachea, those little holes, let me take the bottom off so you can see, the little holes, it allows some air to go through. Not great. The child is choking and in pain, or whoever swallowed it. But the EMT or whoever can get this cap out has a better chance because there is holes letting air through. So that was a safety feature they added. Another thing that I thought was neat that I learned at the Crayola factory is that these get dried out pretty quickly. And most people just throw them out. And I used to too. But once or twice in the life of this marker, what I'll do is if it runs out of ink or it dries out, is you can dip it into water and then put the lid back on, the cap back on, and set it up like I usually grab a few of them like this and do that to all of them and put them in a cup and let them sit there for a day or two and they'll work again, which is fabulous. So that's great. Another thing we talked about, you're going to see in the book, is that they came up with some fun names on markers and on the crayons. Not all of these markers have fun names, but this one does. Flamingo, can you see it? Flamingo pink. I thought that was fun. The gray one has a fun name. Dolphin gray. The green was fun. Iguana green, just to name a few. I'd like to work for the company and come up with some names too. Maybe at the end we can pick a color and come up with some names. That was kind of neat. I have some videos linked on the Bitmoji classroom for you to see the Crayola factory and to see how the crayons are made, and it talks about that in this book as well. So let's go ahead and read the book. The Crayon Man, a true story of the invention of the Crayola crayons. Written by Natasha Bibo, illustrated by Stephen Salerno. I love this end page here, and on the end it says, choose the color, give it a name, and draw a picture. The title page, The Crayon Man, the true story of the invention of the Crayola crayons. At the bottom, of course, there's the author and illustrator again. The bottom is the publisher and the place of publication. And the verso in this book is actually on the last page, where we find out what year the copyright date is. So I'm going to zoom in, and you'll see here that this C here, and it says 2019. This is actually a brand new book that came into Cold Harbor's library. There's the label for Cold Harbor, the label, the barcode for Cold Harbor. It's a brand new book. It hasn't been circulated yet. My hands and Miss Crenshaw's hands are the only ones that touched it so far. The Crayon Man, the true story of the inventions of the Crayola crayons. And obviously there's some beautiful, very colorful illustrations done. There's our friend Edwin Binney right there. So you see who he is, Edwin Binney. Once there was a man who saw color everywhere. He noticed the yellow-orange petals of the black-eyed Susans. There's black-eyed Susans. In his garden, he marveled at the rich scarlet tones of the cardinal's feathers. He admired the deep blue-greens of the waves of the sea. Color made him really, really happy. But all day long at work, all he saw was black. Black dust, black tar, black smoke, black ink, black dye, black shoe polish. His company sold carbon black, a new kind of pigment or color substance made from the soot, the burning oil, and natural gases. People used it in printing inks, electric sheets, street lamps, and stoves, and shoe polish. It also made rubber car tires last that much longer. His name was Edwin Binney, and he was an inventor. He worked with his cousin, C. Harold Smith. Together, they were the Binney and Smith. Harold was a great salesman. He loved to travel the world. Edwin was curious. He had a knack for listening and making people what they needed. Edwin invented a new kind of inexpensive slate pencil that wrote very smoothly. It was gray. Children loved it. He invented a kind of chalk that wasn't dusty and didn't crumble. It was white. Teachers loved it. He invented a wax crayon that would write on wood and paper and packaging. It was really, really black. People loved it. Paper was expensive in the 1800s, so children wrote with slate pencils or chalk on slates, small, handheld blackboards. I love this illustration and the clothes from the time. So when everyone, including Edwin's wife, Alice, told him that children needed better, cheaper crayons, he listened. They said, the crayons we have are big, dull, and clumsy. The lumps of clay, only made fat, chunky lines, and the artist's crayons from Europe were far too expensive. They crumbled and break easily. Some were even poisonous. Alice used to be a school teacher, so she knew what children needed. So she encouraged Edwin to invent crayons. Edwin thought about his company's inventions. When you drew a picture with gray slate pencil, it rubbed off at the drop of the hat. When you drew a pencil with your white chalk, it smudged everywhere. If you drew a picture with Edwin's new, really black crayon, it was really black. None of these inventions was good for drawing in color. I love this page. What does this symbol mean? It's kind of a universal symbol now. When you see that over somebody's head, a light bulb, what does that mean? Yes, it means an idea. An idea is forming. Maybe you can research why people use a light bulb as a symbol of an idea. So Edwin listened and Edwin invented. In a small stone mill in Pennsylvania in a top secret lab, Edwin's team experimented. How could they make better, stronger crayons? Melted paraffin wax, perhaps? The first colored crayons invented in Europe were made from a mixture of charcoal and oil, so they broke easily. To make stronger crayons, Edwin tried using wax instead. Now for the crayon colors. Grinding up rocks and minerals into fine powders. Mixing, slate for gray, earth for yellow, red and brown perhaps? Oh yes, and lapis for blue. Pounding, sifting, and heating the colored powders. Would they be bright enough? Edwin's team kept on trying. They kept on experimenting. Ground up rocks and minerals made bright pigments for crayons, red iron oxide for red, yellow iron oxide for yellow, varied shades of red iron oxide for brown, carbon and black for blacks, zinc oxide for white, and imported ultramarine made for lapis lazuli. I love this page. I'm going to stop and let you really get a good look. Look at the handlebar mustache and the hat they wore at the time and their outfits. They came home covered in color. They experimented some more. A pinch of pigment, a swoosh of that one, a little hotter, a little cooler, and voila! Lots of different shades. And now there are greens, orange, violets, and pink too. Edwin came home in color. To make orange, green, and violet, chemists blended various pigments and clays. Some minerals change color when heated. Plus, the length of time the mixtures were left to cool created different colors too. Look at that. Isn't that great? In a large tub at the mill, Edwin's team measured out the ingredients: melted wax, clay to thicken, something for textured colored powders, each in just the right amount every time to make a top secret formula. Slowly, carefully, stirring by hand, they poured the special formula into thin crayon-shaped molds, smaller than any other inventor's, just the right size for children's hands. The mixture cooled and hardened, and Edwin watched and Edwin waited. Children might eat or chew the crayons and get sick, so Edwin's team experimented to find a new, safe, non-toxic colors and materials. Finally, I love this page. Here we go. Finally, one summer evening in June 1903, Edwin came home covered in color. He announced that he invented a new kind of colored crayon. But what should he call it? Alice had an idea. She said, let's mix the French word cray for stick of chalk with the word ola from the word oleaginous, meaning oily, like the oily texture from a crayon wax, to invent a new word. Crayola. Crayola. Edwin listened. This great page with just a big ear. Love it. Love how the illustrator did that because he's really listening. Look at the coin, 1903. I'm holding a box of crayons. Finney and Smith shipped out the first crayon boxes: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet, brown, and black. 8 colored crayons for only a nickel. Edwin waited. Would the children like them? Come on. Would the children like them? Of course the children are going to love crayons. 8 different colors compared to just white, gray, and black. Fantabulous. Children did. Now they draw a tiny green caterpillar in a big blue sky. Their drawings wouldn't smudge and they wouldn't rub out. They were bright and could last a long time. By the 1900s, inventors had figured out how to make cheaper paper from wood pulp, so children could not now draw on paper instead of just slate. This is great. This is a great page. World's Fair, 1904, St. Louis. I don't know if you can read that. Excitement over the new colorful invention spread like wildfire. Admirers from far and wide flocked to marvel at Binney and Smith's invention at the St. Louis World's Fair. The company's dustless chalk even won a gold medal. Proudly, Edwin and Harold showed it off, especially in their new Crayola crayon boxes. Look at their box. It kind of is the same color today with the green and the yellow, isn't it? Look at that crate. Every day, Edwin brought colorful bouquets from his garden to inspire the Crayola team. They made crayons in even more different shades, and later, the children to help name them some. To celebrate their 19th anniversary, Crayola had a color naming competition. The 6-year-old winner coined Tropical Rainforest. Other color names created by children included Robin Eggs Blue, Tickle Me Pink, and Macaroni and Cheese. This great one. At last, because of Edwin Binney's, the man who saw color everywhere, who had a knack for listening and making what people needed, children all over the world could reach for just the right shade. Sunglow, Wisteria, Jungle Green, Screaming Green, Razzmatazz, I love that one, Robin Egg Blue, Wild Watermelon, Mauvulous, mauve, color mauve, Mauvulous, Purple Mountains, Majesty, Cadet Blue, Lavender, Timberwool, to draw anything.